jāgrato dūram udaiti daivam suptasya tathaivaiti dūraṅgamam jyotiṣām jyotir ekam manaḥ Shiva-saṅkalpam astu. Literal meaning of it: the mind, jāgrato, in the waking state, jāgrata avastha, has the habit to drift into the world of objects through the means of the senses and return back into the fold of self. It will come back in deep sleep state. Like the birds, the whole day they will be roaming. Evening they come back to their nest. Similarly, mind is that. During our jāgrata avastha, we don't know where all it goes. It goes to America, it goes to London, it goes to Australia, it goes to so many places. It thinks of many people. All that it will be doing. Unimaginable things it will be doing. But return back into the fold of self. When in deep sleep state. Such an extraordinary mind is jyotiṣām jyotir ekam. This extraordinary mind is the light of all lights. Lights of all lights. O mind, you please always dwell in the auspicious thoughts. manaḥ śiva-saṅkalpam. What is spoken here in this is not something we are not aware. All of us know about it. It doesn't require any extra knowledge of any spiritual knowledge. Simply it says the mind is, we know that we have all beings, need not be only human beings. We undergo 4 stages, 4 states of consciousness. Jagrat, Swapna, Sushupti and Turiya. Very well explained in Mandukya Upanishad. For us, it's enough to know that all the beings undergo every day the 4 states of consciousness. Jāgrata avastha, Swapna avastha, Sushupta avastha and Turiya avastha. It's also known as Vaishvanara, Taijasa, Prajna, and the last one is self, Atma or Brahman. We all know it. The mind in our waking state, it drifts all over the world, all the objects of the world through the means of the senses and return back to the fold of the self, deep sleep state. In the waking state, it is roaming all over. In the deep sleep, it comes back to the self and rests there. Such an extraordinary mind is told here as jyotiṣām jyotir ekam. That is, that mind is light of the lights, light of all lights. Oh, such a mind, which is the light of all lights, may you ever dwell in auspicious thoughts. Shiva-saṅkalpam. Shiva-saṅkalpam. Shiva is auspiciousness. Sankalpa is thoughts, intent, resolve, whatever you call it. Let that mind dwell in the auspicious thoughts. Shiva-saṅkalpam. This verse, simple language, it gives the nature and quality of the mind. Now, our task is to purify it or apply the mind we want. So it is to be able to apply it, we first need to learn about it. To learn about it,
we must be able to be close to it. We should have a close proximity with it. And I can say, if you want to learn about the law, one should be close to the books of law. You should read. You should have proximity to those books. Only then you can apply them in practice. Though it is not proper, still I say, nowadays, when a boy and girl want to marry, it was not in our days. Our days was something else. We had no options at all, nothing to it. During our days, there was a chance for us to look at the girl. Everything they do, but finally you just look at, that's all you. There you go. Do you know what you want to, but you just have a look at it. Look at her. That's all. But now things have changed. If someone want to marry, they need to know more about each other. They want to be near that person before they take a decision. It's an example, but not referring to any particular situation. So, in whatever the field, we take an example, establishing close contact with that one, whichever you want to apply. I want to apply something to something, then I need to have a close contact with that. Still easier language. There are so many apps today for our use. It's called application only. Even to use that application, you must have a close contact with it. You should know whatever it contains. Isn't it? Same thing applies here. To learn about the mind and then apply the mind the way we want, or purify it what the mind is, whatever you want to do. But it makes it difficult to learn about the mind because its inherent nature is, it is not present where we are. Don't be funny, I'm not joking. Mind is not where we are. Mind is elsewhere because its nature is to drift. We all appear to be present with our mind. Appear to be, I'm using a word very clearly. No ambiguity. We all appear to be present with our mind. Our mind is not present with us. Difficult to realize this, but little bit of introspection makes us understand. We think, and it appears like that. We all appear to be present with our mind, you know? But mind is not present with us. The very first opening verse, jāgrato dūram wants us to know is that mind is a wanderer. It is known for that. The whole problem lies there. And skipping from one object to another, not always. In our waking state. Jāgrato dūram. It will be wandering. It will be slipping from one object to another. Let me confess. Even while talking to you, though my mind is focused on what I am talking, I think that my mind may not be totally here. Yes, maybe its maximum attention is given here, but that doesn't stop, it goes somewhere also. It happens. It's a wandering. That's why the sadhakas, the aspirants, the upasakas, All of us have undergone that. Nobody is an exception. When we begin the sadhana, whatever sadhana, I need not say what type of sadhana is. Sadhana are many types. Maybe it is hatha yoga for somebody. For somebody is Raja Yoga. Somebody is Mantra Yoga. Somebody is Bhakti Yoga. Somebody is Karma Yoga. Somebody is Dana Yoga. Whatever it is. All are sadhakas only. Sadhana only. All are upasana. Nothing is inferior. Nothing is superior. When we begin that sadhana, particularly meditation, Mantra Yoga, we become very agitated. And we also become disappointed because any amount of our effort during that sadhana cannot still the mind. We are trying to understand something. I don't say it's impossible, which is most difficult to understand. Unless we understand, know about it, you can't apply it. So I know our journey is not very comfortable, not smooth. I am preparing you for that. 5 more verses to go. So let us be aware that we are trying to understand something which is very difficult to understand. When very difficult to understand itself, then where is the question of application of it? It's more difficult, right? So what effort is to first understand? So you may find difficult, no doubt. All of us find difficult in it. Even for me, it's difficult. Difficult to understand. We'll come back. All the sadhakas, at one point or the other, become disappointed. Because all the efforts to still the mind was not fruitful at all futile. If you are able to understand, if you are aware beforehand that mind is that only, it is that of a wandering thing and a drifter, then we will be able to adopt its ways for better meditation. We need not bother about it. And this verse clearly says, and it's a lesson to all of us, let us not fight with the mind. It's not needed. No, we can't fight it with it. That's why this verse, the first verse of Shiva-saṅkalpam, equips us with an important understanding about its nature. Its nature is wandering. You can't stop it. Accept it. Then see how to achieve utilizing of the mind in spite of its wandering nature. That will be, we'll know in the following verses. How to achieve utilizing the mind in spite, because you can't change it. There's its nature. Once again, the lecture. When we marry, we know each other. And we know that we can't change the nature of each other. No doubt. Two different nature people join together and lead the life for 50, 60 years. Because that nature doesn't bother. It is how it is, and see how to utilize it. In spite of that nature is, particularly mind, we should analyze carefully. We will see that the mind is not just wander. Not just that. It also perceives and accomplish many things at the same time. It's only mind can do it. Multi-taking instrument. Mind can see. It's not I see. Mind is seeing. It can feel, it can touch, it can smell, it can hear. Not one after other. Everything together. At the same time. At the same time, doing everything together, multitasking. And it can also command our organs. Like, see, now I am moving this. I have not just moved it. It's the mind. And we all know that. In a fraction of a second, it can travel anywhere. It can travel anywhere, but performs all the actions here. Now my mind can be in Dubai, but it acts here. It thinks, it reads here, it speaks, it engages in senses. All that at the same time. What a wonderful instrument it is. Such a great mind. Why we should call it as an enemy? Such a friend, such a nature, such a quality. Is it not? Come on. My mind has gone to Dubai now. Yes, now it has gone to UK also. But it has not stopped working here. Still working here. Which can do this job so effectively? So, the divine, whatever the name we call it, which has no name and form, have blessed us, graced us with the most sophisticated multitasking instrument. But the most important quality of the mind is very important quality, which we need to learn to use it. It extends for awakening the self. Though it drifts, wanders, it helps. It is the help. It extends for awakening into the self. That's why daivam is referred here. The word daivam has come here in that verse. So, the word daivam is attributed to the mind. It is called daivam in this sukta. And this sukta is not somebody wrote. It is in part of Vedas. It is divine. Though it wanders, it is multitasking. It is drift. Cannot stop at one place for a fraction of a second. Still it is divine. We should know the mind is all powerful. It is all knowing, sarvagna. It is cosmic, intelligent instrument. And I always say, when we use the mind, let us not confine to mind. Because mind is the part of antakarana, manasa, buddhi, chitta. Of course, then ahankara. All makes antakarana subtle body. Though we are talking only with mind, it also applies to antakarana. Because when the mind in a fraction of a second, having gone to UK, it has not simply gone there, mind. Having gone there, it leaves an impression in chitta. Yes. Yes. So chitta is a part of it. So when we say mind, it should be taken as whole, collectively. Then only we are able to understand. I tell you why, chitta. I said now, my mind has gone to UK. It is not stopped at level. The impression of my mind going to UK has been created in chitta. That's why tomorrow when I come back to you in the same Gnana Yagna, I will tell you, look, yesterday I told you, my mind went to UK. My mind went to Dubai. How it's possible? So that mind went to UK and Dubai, etc., stamped in chitta. So whatever we talk about mind here, it is not confined to only mind. It's the total thing, wholesome, you should say. Okay? That wholesome is all powerful, all knowing. It is cosmic. It is intelligent instrument that will guide us towards the self, towards the Atma, towards realizing I, the self. Provided we know, we train ourselves, not the mind. We must try ourselves how to purify it and train it. Not controlling it. You cannot control it. Whatever I spoke about, antakarana as a whole, a complex instrument. The modern psychology is talking in different language, but it's near to that. The mind, okay. Intellect, okay. To that extent, modern psychology and our understanding of ancient texts goes. But when it comes to chitta, the modern psychology, psychiatry stops it. Subconscious mind. Sorry. I have mentioned many times that subconscious mind is not a match or equal to chitta. Chitta is something else. Unable to explain it. One important thing I want to make you know. You know it. Just I am reminding you. That's all. It's not that we don't know. Anything that is more subtle, sukshma, it can become more expansive, which is more grass dense, that cannot expand. Example is earth is the grossest, therefore it is densest of the 5 elements among earth, water, fire and space. It's the more dense one. That has limitation of its expansion. The grossest is earth. The subtlest is the space. The space is most expansive of all these 5. The mind watches and perceives all these 5 elements as substratum, as adhara, as foundation. See, the mind is watching all these 5 elements and perceives all these five elements as what? As the foundation. When mind is watching, maybe a little difficult, I repeat once again. If mind can watch and perceive these elements as the foundation, the mind should be, has to be, it shall be more subtler than any and all the elements, including space. I stop here for a while. One minute I stop, because you just take this to your mind. I repeat once again. Once again, I'll stop 1 minute. Only mind, the human mind particularly, can watch, can perceive all the five elements, yes or no? Not just watches and perceives. It watches and perceives as substratum, as adhara, as foundation. Because it can do that, because it can watch, perceives all the elements as foundation, the mind has to be more subtler than any of these elements, including the space which is said to be very, very, very expansive and subtlest among the five primordial elements. Now we understand. Mind is subtler than space. That's why it can perceive what's space. Otherwise, it would not have. When a space is subtler, subtlest among all the five elements, which has such an expansion, so expansive. Can you explain space? Watching that, perceiving it as foundation, being the mind, just left to your imagination, how much this can be expansive. 1 minute, relax on this. Hope I have conveyed what the mind is. Because the mind can watch and perceive even the space as the foundation, as the substratum, as adhara, the mind has to be, and it is subtler than space. When space is itself is such an expansive, then imagine how expansive is our mind. It's a food for thought. Stay with this thought. Our problem is, unfortunately, we have not understood, we have not tried to exploit the expansion nature of the mind. No, it doesn't stop there. We have not done it. We have not tried to exploit the expansive nature of the mind, and also instead we kept it attached to lower planes of earth. We limited its expansion by attaching to five senses: smell, taste, form, touch, and sound. We have done it. We have confined its expansion to only this much. Is it not so? Is it not so? All of you agree with me on this. All of you agree. No doubt. We have limited its expansion. We had not explored at all. Instead, we attached the mind to lower planes. Lower planes of earth. Lower planes of earth, Prithvi, is ruled by only this: smell, taste, touch and sound. With our ignorance, should I call ignorance? No. I should say, we are not that wise. Hence, we limit the mind, which is more expansive than space, and made it gross like the earth plane. Look, earth is the most grossest among the five elements, which is comparatively less expansive, and the more expansive is the more subtlest is the space. The one what we have an instrument which is much subtler than space and expansive, we have reduced it to the level of gross like earth plane. All our spiritual pursuit. And I tell you, when I use a spiritual pursuit, don't confine to spiritual. When we attain that, this follows without working for it. I can give an example. When you want to go and buy a cow which is pregnant, is it not that calf also come with you, come with the cow? Yes or no? Similarly, when you are progressing on our spiritual path, I promise you, many times I said this, Father, you should have faith in my words, trust in my words. As we progress in our spiritual path, our material requirements will simply fall on our feet. We will not separately work for it. No need. All our spiritual pursuit to train and purify the mind. What is the purification of mind? This comes question. When I say purify, it has no form. If some say, hey, there is some dust, you can clean it, okay, fine. This is more subtler and expansive. How do you purify it? Simple. Simple. Take out in the mind the gross and dense qualities. It has become more gross, which is not so, because of its association with the lower planes of existence. So take it out from that attachment. Such an expansive mind become very close associated with the gross element, earth. Take out from there. Direct it towards the self. And only that mind which is come out of that gross nature. It is not gross. We have made it gross. We have made it gross. Unless that comes out and takes its original subtle nature of expansion, then only it gets the clarity, and then only it becomes subtlety. Subtle. It becomes subtle. Already subtle. It is subtle, subtle, subtle. No doubt. But we have made it underutilization. We call it in management. Underutilization of man, machinery, and material. Right? The most intelligent person was put in some place, underutilized. So take him out from there, because it is very, very useful, that person, Put him in the place where you can utilize him. Same thing to our mind, please. Take it out from that. We have been underutilizing it. Let it understand its subtle nature, subtlest nature. That is the source, cause for realizing self. I tell you. Once we give its true nature to it, its true nature is subtle and expansive. Once we give that to the mind, it can easily penetrate through the gross layers of chitta and experience the joy and bliss of the self. It should become expansive. And same thing you can apply for materialistic life also. It's limited, confined to gross level of sound, earth, all this. 5 tanmatras, hearing, eating, sounding, all this. Isn't it so? See, we cannot use the mind and its expansive nature as long as it is limited, its association with the sense organs. Once it comes out that, then it becomes expansive. Once it really shows that expansive, it's there. It is not that you create. It's there. We are not able to use it. It's our failure. Then self is easily known and realized. But here, though we are unfortunate in handling the mind, using its expansiveness to our advantage, both materialistic and spiritual, we are very, very fortunate. Enlightened masters of various traditions and guru lineages have shown us the way to purify the mind. Many ways. Many ways. One is the pranayama, the control of breath, self-inquiry, detachment, so that develop the intuitive sense beyond the limited sense perception. All these are the methods. The sense perceptions can give you only the knowledge of the gross world. Anything beyond that? All our sense perceptions are limited to the gross world, isn't it? So detach from that gross world and see that what opens up. Tadu tathaivaiti. So after all wandering, returning ability of the mind, it comes back. So we have seen the first we have seen its nature of drifting, wandering. Then we have seen its expansiveness. The expansiveness is much higher than space. Then another nature is the ability to return back. Is another quality in nature. No matter wherever it roams, as long as we are jāgrato avastha, it will be going everywhere, doing all multitasking. And finally, as the birds in the evening come back to nest, it will return back to the self at the night. It cannot stay out. Once we get into sleep, Nothing, just to come back. Because it has to be one with the self in a deep sleep. It will naturally get into this self during deep sleep. You know what happens? The biological sleep, you know that. We slowly close our eyes. Before getting to sleep, what happens? We slowly close our eyes. Then our hearing faculty reduces. All the sense perceptions also slowly begin to fade. Because even all these sense organs start retiring in the self. And all this happens very automatically as we retire into a very blissful and joyous state. This joyous state, we don't remember unless we train ourselves to be conscious at that state. When the mind comes back and retire itself in the self, come back to self. That's deep sleep. We are lost. We should train ourselves to get connected to that state. It's possible by the grace of Guru. This verse talks about the immense quality, capability of the mind of multitasking in the waking state and then lead us to self in the deep sleep. That's what is told in the verse. I tell you, no other species except human being has such an instrument like mind, like antakaran. So we must make utmost use of this opportunity. I don't say exploit. Explore. There's a difference between explore and exploit. The full potential of the mind in our all walks of life. Dūraṅgamam, one more word. It's another quality. Means far-reaching ability of the mind. The mind can reach any place where even the body and sense have limitations. You know, body movements are restricted. The sense organ, eyes, hearing. Eyes can see only to the distance. Ears can hear only to a certain range. The nose can smell only. But mind can see which the eyes cannot. Agree? Mind will listen what the ears cannot listen. The mind can smell what the nose cannot. There are many, many examples, and we have our own experiences. Okay. I can close my eyes now, and my mind can see Niagara Falls now. Isn't it? And one more important thing I will tell and close this today's. Along with that, the mind has the capacity to completely overrule what the sense organs inform us. And instead, it gives a contrary to what the sense organs indicate. Difficult to understand? Yes. All of us know it. Mind. Eyes, our eyes, seeing sun as very small. Yes. But does the mind accept it? No. It says, it's very large, my dear. Your perception is wrong. Eyes say, the stars are very small, twinkling stars. Oh, you are a fool, my dear. It is very larger body. Is it not so? So the mind is not limited by the presence or absence of the sense organs to draw a conclusion. Don't think that mind only depends on the sense organs, because it's attained the knowledge. He says, sun is small, very small. But mind says, no, you're wrong. Is it not so? Is it not so? Is it not mind not accepting the view of the sense organs or the message given by sense organs? So that is the far-reaching ability of the mind. We're trying to understand the mind, first verse. Then, jyotiṣām jyotir ekam. The mind is light of all lights. Because mind alone is the source of all sense organs. If there is something medically possible to disconnect my eyes with mind, can eyes can see? Draw a picture of what I'm seeing? No. Can we hear without mind? Can the tongue taste without mind? Can the nose smell without mind? So all these sense organs, functions cannot operate without the mind. Why I'm telling is, at night, when mind comes back, stays in the self, eyes, ear, tongue, nose, body, everything present. But do they function? Do they function? No, because mind is absent. Yes or no, please? Can you hear in your deep sleep? Can you see in deep sleep? Can't. Because mind is absent there. So it is the mind that gives power to sense organs. Hope I have conveyed a very clear message. The power drawn by all these organs to all these faculties is from mind. That's why jyotiṣām jyotir ekam. That's why the mind is the light of all lights. Last I conclude. Tanme manaḥ śiva-saṅkalpam astu. May my mind, that extraordinary mind, that expansive mind which is beyond expansion of the space, with great abilities, ever dwell where? On auspicious thoughts. Let that mind dwell on auspicious thoughts, śiva-saṅkalpa, of ever increasing abundance in this self. Let my mind, may my mind attain supremacy in all aspects. Tanme manaḥ śiva-saṅkalpam astu. Tanme manaḥ śiva-saṅkalpam astu. I tell you, Tanme manaḥ śiva-saṅkalpam astu is a master key. Please hold on this key. This can open up anything, and open to you something which you can't even imagine and expect to be seen. Tanme manaḥ śiva-saṅkalpam astu. Tanme manaḥ śiva-saṅkalpam astu. Tanme manaḥ śiva-saṅkalpam astu.